I come before you with a broken heart as we honor the life of a great man and a great deputy. Deputy Darren Almendarez was a hero who gave his last breath in service to his community. We must do better. We cannot allow these assaults on our law enforcement to continue. We understand that bad things happen to good people, but it shouldn't happen to officers who do all the right things while protecting their community. Darren made the ultimate sacrifice, and my heart breaks for his grieving family. Darren made that ultimate sacrifice because that's what he believed in. To his wife, Flor, daughters, Andrea and Kayla, son, Danny, mother, Mary Helen, brother Steve, and the other brothers and sisters, and all the extended family that are gathered here today. On behalf of the Harris County Sheriff's Office and all the law enforcement agencies that are represented here, our deepest condolences go out to all of you. There are no words capable of providing sufficient comfort. All we can do is pledge our undying support and promise to be by your side from this moment forward. I know there are no words that can ease the pain that we all feel or that can fill the void that this tragedy has left behind. As we take him to rest today, I would ask that you remember this true hero, not for how he lost his life, but for how he lived it. And the real tribute doesn't come from the words that you're going to hear today. Several of us have the unique privilege of being up here to share a little bit of our remembrances of him, our memories, how we knew Darren. But the real tribute comes from all the people that are gathered here today in their sanctuary to pay their respects. That's the tribute, not in the words, but in the tribute to Darren as a man, a tribute to Darren as a deputy. People to come together to pay their respects. And so the turnout here today is not only a tribute to his service in our community, but an acknowledgement of the amazing individual that Darren was, because he sure was. And while many are here today and the sanctuary is full, there's many that couldn't be here today. And I want you to know that that community supports you and the family, loved and supported Darren as well. Because when a police officer dies in the line of duty, an entire community pauses in sorrow. And so there's many people that have expressed their heartfelt condolences. When we pause and think of Darren's professional life, I think it's important to look at it from two ends of the spectrum. Because I think that one thing that exemplified Darren his entire life was his grit, his determination, his love for serving others, his love for teaching, and his love for continuing to learn. That is always evident. One of his first jobs, I believe, he was only about 15 years old. And it was at a Whataburger in the East End, on Harrisburg. I remember the place because that's my first patrol beat when I worked 11 District, HPD Magnolia Station. And I met someone that had the opportunity to work with Darren back then. And I told him, well, what was Darren like? What do you remember? He goes, he was incredibly smart, even at 15, incredibly smart, very independent, Steve, very independent. He liked to learn. He liked to teach. He liked to teach. I remember that. He goes, in fact, I remember he taught me one thing that I still remember to this day. And I said, what was it? And he goes, I remember he told me, man, if you wrap one of those pickles around one of the French fries, it's to die for. I haven't tried it yet, but I intend to next time I go to Whataburger. But, you know, they worked together, and they kind of lost track of each other. They each went on their separate paths, and, you know, as sometimes the future works out in mysterious ways, that individual is now one of our investigators. They both ended up being Harris County Sheriff's deputies. Investigator Frankie Prado is now one of our investigators in our violent crimes unit and does phenomenal work. And he's been involved here lately because Darren touched him in so many ways. And he said that same determination and tenacity and the way he was, just it was infectious and lasted him throughout his life. So thank you, Frankie, wherever you're at, thank you for sharing that with us. But he had that grit and determination. He wanted to keep pushing himself, doing better, and that's something that he believed in. He wanted to keep growing and learning. On the second part of his professional career, I believe he also worked at Metro Bank on Capitol Street, I believe. So he kept doing other things, again, continuing to grow. But eventually he would find his true calling, and Darren was a great cop. Law enforcement was made for Darren, and he was made for this career. Darren loved being a deputy, and he took pride in serving his community, and he took his job very seriously. He distinguished himself as a stellar deputy and investigator through his performance. Everywhere he worked, whether it be anti-gang operations with the task force, whether it be being a field trainer in District 3 in the east part of Harris County, he always gave it his best. He liked teaching people. That's why I think he was an FTO. And he did phenomenal work everywhere, even through visiting his desk recently. I saw his reading glasses there, the cases he was working on. He was still giving it his all and breaking down those crews, those chop shop crews in East Harris County and everywhere, just really being a phenomenal investigator. And when he went to auto theft and they interviewed him, he just blew everybody away with his knowledge, with his smarts. And very soon he was teaching other people how to do the job, how to do the work. And again, a testament to being a lifelong learner and being a teacher. And that's something that he always did. He was definitely a shining star for the Harris County Sheriff's Office. Now, he was a remarkable man, and he did many things wonderful, but not everybody's perfect. And there were a few things that weren't his strong suits. One thing was his Spanish. His Spanish was not very good. Flor, we talked a bit about that. And Montes was sharing a story. One of his best friends was telling me a story that they were on a patrol and that they had to translate and so, sure enough, he started trying to translate. Darren started trying to translate, and the guy was just listening and staring at Darren, and so was Montes. And then after about a 5-minute dialogue, the person they were interviewing kind of turns to Montes and says, ¿Qué dijo? What did he say? And Montes, who speaks Spanish, said, I don't even know what he said. And here recently, they were reminiscing that he had a witness or someone on intercom, and he was talking to them at the office. They're kind of desk mates. They sat next to each other. And he had someone in speaker, and he reached out trying to help a victim of a crime. And he was, again, say, Señora, soy el investigador, Almendarez. He started going on through his skill. And after, it was just silence. And after about a few minutes, the female person on the other line says, can you just tell me in English? But again, Darren was a remarkable man, whether it be fishing. He also liked to barbecue. We're always having barbecues. He, again, had this thirst for knowledge and wanting to improve. And I was talking to someone that got to spend a little bit of time with him here recently. I believe Darren was working the rodeo. Flor, and he spent some time working that. And the deputy was on mounted and had her horse, and she noticed that Darren kept staring and looking at the horse and says, hey, you haven't seen a horse? What's going on? He goes, no. He goes, I planted some trees or something. And Flor, you're smiling because I think you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if it was lemons or limes or something. And he goes, I used some horse manure, and it grew some big lemons or limes. So was it, Flor? Lemons or something? Yeah, lemons, and he was just astounded. And ever since then, he was fixated on getting more horse manure because he wanted to keep growing them. And on that particular day, just wasn't his day because the deputy said the horse was just wasn't pooping. And sure enough, though, they saw an HPD mounted officer, and they said, "Hey, can you come here?" He goes, "Hey man, can you help out this my fellow deputy over here? He's looking for some horse manure because." I mean, he really wants some for his garden, and he was really, focused on that. And the guy says, and Chief Finner, you'll appreciate that. He goes, and the HPD officer said, "Hey, buddy, don't worry about it. Just go to our stables over in Northeast Harris County. We'll give you all the horse manure you want, man." So it was close to the house. So I know that was something he was interested in doing. But again, just that inquisitive mind of saying, how can I perfect this? How can it be? How can I do more? But true to self and true to form, even during that job, for a brief moment there, he was still filing some charges on a criminal that he was pursuing to protect the community. He took a quick break just to file those charges and get him sent because he was still doing his work, even when he loved working. He loved working. And Steve, sometimes I know you said he had to kind of turn it down a little bit, because he was like, hey, just relax a little bit because he was so passionate and intense about it. But it's very hard to say goodbye, and we don't want to. But we need to remember that Darren touched so many lives, so positively. And so he will live in our hearts, minds, and actions of us all. He leaves an amazing legacy behind. Darren left this world a better place than it was before he found it. And for that, we will always be grateful. He is gone from us today, but his life and service will never be forgotten. Darren touched so many people, and even though his courageous act took him physically, his legacy will live on forever. For those law enforcement officers that continue to serve, I know this is a difficult moment for all of you as well. I know that there's a lot of unanswered questions. I know it's difficult. When we pause and we reflect, we give it our all. Is this how it ends? I know there's frustration sometimes with the criminal justice system, some of the outcomes, that sometimes it just doesn't seem that all the hard work really paid off. Did we really make a difference? Well, you do make a difference. Darren made a difference. And the way we continue to honor Darren is by doing what he loved to do, is suiting up, putting on that badge, going out and serving and protecting the community. That was in his DNA. That's what he did. And that's what you do. That's why we signed up to do what we do. Because we know that at the end of the day, a community depends on us, depends on you. We know that at the end of the day, you care for the welfare of others. That's how Darren was. That's how he was built. And that's how we honor him. We honor him by marching on. We honor him by going forward. We honor him by continuing to be exemplary. We honor him by living up to the ideals that he exemplified for us, by being the best of the best, because that's what Darren was. Many people come into this profession and do good work, but there's some that are a cut above, and that was Darren. There's just some that just come and just perform at a higher level. And so I encourage all of you, myself included, is let's do better. Let's continue to strengthen our resolve, to go out there and be that thin line between those that are good and those that are out there harming others. Because that's our calling and that's what we do. Darren leaves a huge void in our agency, and that's something that will never be filled long after we're gone. His legacy will be here. We are always going to remember him. We're always going to honor him. It's a solemn pledge that we all take to make sure that we're honoring the best among us. And we're going to continue to honor Darren because that's what we do for our fallen. Our community will continue to remember Darren as well. And in closing, I leave you with the words of Dorothy Ferguson. only a moment you stayed, but what an imprint you've left in our hearts. Rest easy, my friend. You served us well. Now it's our turn. We'll take it from here.
Thank you, Sheriff. As Sergeant Schmidt and Sergeant Rivera are making their way up here, I wanted to share a story with you from that night that Darren was taken from us. I'm not going to call this young lady out by name or